right, listeners. So today, we're going to try something a little bit different.
Okay.
Instead of just diving into a topic, we're going to help you prepare for a deep dive into a job interview.
Oh, okay.
For a violin maker.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
You're not just showcasing your skills, you're sharing your passion for an instrument that has captivated hearts for centuries.
Exactly. And we're going to use insights from RoleCatcher.
Right.
A platform with a ton of resources to help you nail this interview.
They even have AI tools.
Yeah.
To refine your approach.
Yes.
But before we get to that, let's understand what a violin maker actually does day to day.
Okay. So the career guide, Violin Maker,
Right.
describes this blend of artistry and precision. You're crafting and assembling violin parts, sanding wood,
Yeah.
measuring, attaching strings, meticulously inspecting each step.
And it's not just about replicating the classics.
Right.
Today's clients often seek instruments tailored to their individual playing style and sound preferences.
So customization is key.
Customization is key.
So imagine yourself in this quiet workshop or studio, surrounded by tools, wood, and the scent of varnish. It sounds idyllic.
Ideally.
But what skills do you absolutely need to demonstrate in this interview?
The career guide highlights several. Quality control,
Okay.
which it mentions 6 times.
Wow.
Customer service, mechanical knowledge, a background in fine arts,
Okay.
and even administrative skills.
Wait, administrative skills? I thought we were talking about making violins, not managing an office.
It's all connected.
Okay.
Think about organizing your workshop tracking orders,
Okay.
potentially even marketing your work.
Okay.
These skills show you can run a successful business, which is essential for many violin makers.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's dive into the heart of the matter. Sample interview questions from both the career guide and the interview guide, Violin Maker.
Now, this is where we'll break down what the interviewer is really asking and help you craft answers that showcase both your expertise and your passion.
All right, first question. Can you describe your experience in making violins? It seems simple, but I bet there's more to it than just listing jobs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The interviewer is gauging your experience level and how you communicate your love for the craft.
Okay.
Instead of just reciting a resume,
Right.
bring your story to life.
So instead of saying, I've worked as a violin maker for 5 years, I could say something like,
I've been fascinated by the art of violin making since I was a child, and I've spent the past 5 years honing my craft from learning to select the finest tone woods to mastering the subtle art of varnishing.
ooh, that's much better. It shows dedication and a personal connection. Okay, next question. What types of wood do you use to make violins?
This tests your knowledge of materials and your understanding of their unique properties. Mention the classics like spruce and maple, but explain why they're the go-to choices. Spruce for the top plate because of its responsiveness, and resonance maple for the back and sides, for its strength and ability to project sound.
Right? It's not enough just to rattle off names. What about less common options? Would mentioning those show extra knowledge?
Absolutely. You could talk about willow or poplar
Okay.
for violins with a darker, more mellow tone,
Okay.
or the use of pearwood for its beautiful grain and unique tonal qualities.
That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this question has me a little worried. How do you ensure the quality of your violins? I mean, where do you even begin?
Quality control is paramount in this field.
Right.
The interviewer wants to see your meticulous side and your deep understanding of what makes a great violin. Describe your inspection process in detail. How you check for flaws in the wood, the tools you use to measure the arching and thickness, how you test the sound and playability.
It's interesting because the career guide emphasizes how each violin is essentially a custom creation.
Uh-huh.
So quality control isn't just about meeting a standard, it's about ensuring each instrument is the best it can be.
Exactly. You're not just building a violin, you're crafting an instrument that will hopefully be played and cherished for generations.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. How do you customize violins for individual players? I'm guessing this goes beyond just asking what color do you want.
Definitely. This question digs into your understanding of musicians' needs and your ability to translate their desires into tangible modifications. Talk about how you gather information, their playing style, preferred genre, desired sound qualities. Then explain how you translate that into adjustments to the neck angle, fingerboard radius, or even the size and shape of the instrument.
So it's almost like being a musical detective, figuring out what the musician needs, even if they can't articulate it themselves.
Precisely. It's about listening carefully,
Right?
observing their technique, and drawing on your knowledge to create an instrument that enhances their musical expression.
That sounds like a true collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this one? How do you stay up to date with advancements in violin making? I feel like there's a lot to keep up with.
This question is about your commitment to lifelong learning and your passion for the craft. Mention attending conferences and workshops, reading industry journals like The Strad, following master violin makers online,
Oh.
even experimenting with new techniques in your own workshop.
The career guide mentions how the violin making industry is blending tradition with modern technology. Would it be good to touch on that?
Absolutely. You could discuss how computer-aided design, CAD,
Right.
is being used to refine instrument models,
Okay.
or how acoustical analysis software can help you understand the nuances of sound production.
That's amazing. It seems like you could spend a lifetime learning about this craft. Okay, this next question is a bit daunting. Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot an issue with a violin you were making? I'm already feeling the pressure.
Don't worry, this is a chance to showcase your problem-solving skills
Okay.
and your ability to think critically under pressure. The interviewer wants to know how you handle challenges, not that you're perfect. Choose a specific example, maybe a crack in the wood, a warped fingerboard, or an unexpected tonal issue.
So I shouldn't try to pretend I've never made a mistake.
Honesty and humility are important. Focus on the process, how you identified the problem, the resources you consulted, the steps you took to analyze and fix it,
Okay.
and most importantly, what you learned from the experience.
That makes sense. It's not about being flawless. It's about showing how you overcome obstacles. Okay, this next question is interesting. How do you balance the need for tradition with the desire for innovation in your work? It feels like there's a tension between those two.
It's a delicate balance, and the interviewer wants to see your understanding of the craft's rich history and your willingness to embrace new ideas responsibly. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's about articulating your personal philosophy.
So I could talk about how I was trained in traditional Cremonese techniques,
Right,
the methods used by the legendary violin makers of 17th and 18th century Italy,
right.
but also how I'm exploring modern innovations like using carbon fiber for certain parts.
Exactly. Or you could discuss how you use hand tools for carving, but also embrace digital modeling to refine designs. It shows you respect the foundations of violin making while recognizing the potential of modern advancements to enhance the craft.
It's like you're building a bridge between the past and the future, which is a pretty cool concept. Okay, on to question 8. How do you work with musicians to create an instrument that meets their needs? This sounds like it requires some serious people skills.
It does.
Yeah.
Violin making is a very personal art form.
Right.
And this question is all about your collaboration and communication skills. You're not just building an instrument, you're building a relationship with the musician.
So I should talk about my ability to listen carefully, ask insightful questions, and really understand the musician's vision.
Exactly. You're like a musical translator bridging the gap between the musician's artistic expression and the physical instrument. The career guide mentions how customer service is essential in this field, and that definitely applies here.
It makes me think about how RoleCatcher can actually help with this aspect of the interview.
Right.
It has an AI tool that analyzes your answers
Mm-hmm.
and provides feedback on how clearly and effectively you're communicating your ideas.
That's a great point. You can use RoleCatcher to practice explaining complex concepts in a way that's easy for a non-expert to understand, which is a valuable skill when working with clients.
Okay, that's a helpful tip. Let's move on to question 9. What do you consider to be the most important aspect of creating a high-quality violin? This one feels pretty philosophical.
It is, and it's a chance to showcase your passion, your values,
Okay.
and what makes you unique as a violin maker. What are your non-negotiables?
Yeah.
Is it the tonal quality,
Well-
the projection, the responsiveness, the playability, the aesthetics?
There's so much to consider. Is there a right answer, or is it more about articulating what matters most to me?
It's definitely about your personal philosophy. The interviewer wants to see your thought process,
Okay.
your understanding of the craft's complexities,
Fine.
and what you strive for in your work.
Okay, last question for this part of our deep dive. How do you ensure that your violins maintain their quality over time? I'm assuming this goes beyond just saying dust it regularly.
It definitely does. This question is about demonstrating your commitment to your craft and the longevity of your instruments. Explain your approach to maintenance,
Okay.
the advice you give to clients about proper care, the types of adjustments or repairs you offer, even your warranty policy.
So it's about showing that you're invested in the long-term well-being of the instruments you create and the satisfaction of your clients.
Precisely. It also shows you understand that a violin is a living, breathing instrument that requires ongoing care and attention.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground just in this first part of our deep dive into the Violin Maker interview. I'm already feeling more prepared, and I haven't even picked up a chisel yet.
Remember, this is just the beginning. We've laid the foundation,
Right.
but there's still much more to explore.
And we'll continue our exploration in the next part of this deep dive.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned, listener.
Stay tuned. Welcome back, listener. Let's continue our deep dive into the world of the Violin Maker interview using those sample questions as our guide.
I'm ready for more. Last time we talked about everything from experience to problem solving to the balance between tradition and innovation. Where are we headed next?
Let's tackle question number 6. Can you describe a time when you had to go above and beyond for a client?
Ooh, this one is interesting. It's not just about skills, it's about customer service and going the extra mile.
Exactly. The interviewer wants to see how you handle those special situations, how you prioritize client satisfaction, and what lengths you'll go to deliver exceptional service.
So should I talk about a time I rushed an order for a musician with an upcoming performance? Or maybe when I made a last-minute repair for a student about to go on stage?
Those are both great examples, but remember to focus on the details, what specific steps you took, how you communicated with the client, and how your actions made a positive impact.
Right, it's not just about saying, I helped them out, it's about showing that I'm dedicated to my client's success. Okay, let's move on to question 7. How has your understanding of acoustics influenced your approach to violin making?
This one goes deep. The interviewer wants to see if you grasp the science behind the art, how sound waves interact with the instrument's shape, materials, and construction.
So it's not enough to just make a beautiful violin, it has to sound beautiful too.
Precisely. You could talk about how the arching of the top plate influences the vibration patterns or how the density of the wood affects the resonance. You could even mention specific techniques you use to achieve a certain tonal quality.
This makes me think about those legendary violin makers from Cremona, Italy, like Stradivari and Guarneri. They didn't have access to modern technology, yet they created instruments with unmatched sound.
It's remarkable they relied on intuition, experimentation, and a deep understanding of the relationship between form and function, and like the career guide actually mentions how their techniques are still studied and admired today.
It's like their knowledge is woven into the very fabric of violin making. Okay, on to question 8. How do you envision the future of violin making?
Wow, this one is broad. Where do I even begin? This is your chance to showcase your vision, your awareness of industry trends, and your passion for the craft's evolution. Think about the growing demand for unique and customized instruments, the integration of technology, and the changing needs of musicians.
So I could talk about how 3D printing might play a role in violin making, or how new composite materials could offer different tonal possibilities, or maybe how virtual reality could be used to design and experience instruments in new ways.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to be bold and imaginative. The interviewer wants to see that you're thinking critically about the future of the field.
This reminds me of how RoleCatcher can help with interview preparation. It has a feature that analyzes your answers and provides feedback on how clearly and persuasively you're communicating your ideas.
That's a great point. You can use RoleCatcher to practice articulating your vision in a way that's engaging and insightful.
Okay, on to question 9. What are some of the ethical considerations you face as a violin maker? This one feels unexpected. What kind of ethical issues would come up?
It's a thoughtful question that shows the interviewer is looking for someone with integrity and a sense of responsibility. You could talk about the sourcing of materials, ensuring you use sustainably harvested wood from reputable suppliers.
Right. Using endangered or illegally logged wood would definitely be unethical. Are there other considerations?
Absolutely. You could discuss the importance of authenticity, making sure you're not misrepresenting an instrument as a genuine antique. Or you could talk about the balance between honoring tradition and pushing creative boundaries, ensuring you're not simply copying the work of master makers.
It's about respecting the craft's heritage while also contributing to its evolution in an ethical way.
Exactly. And, this question aligns with one of RoleCatcher's core principles, using technology to promote ethical and responsible practices.
I love that. Okay, let's tackle question 10. Describe your ideal workspace for making violins. This one sounds fun. Can I just say, a beachfront villa in Tuscany?
Haha. While that sounds lovely, the interviewer is probably looking for something a bit more practical. They want to see that you understand the importance of a well-equipped and organized workspace for crafting high-quality instruments.
So I should talk about having good ventilation for working with varnish, proper lighting for detailed work, a temperature-controlled environment to protect the wood, and of course all the specialized tools and equipment needed for violin making.
Precisely. You could also mention the importance of having a quiet and focused space, free from distractions. After all, crafting a violin requires intense concentration and attention to detail.
This makes me think about the work environment section of the career guide. It mentions how violin makers often work in small workshops or studios, either independently or as part of a small team.
That's right. You could even mention that you're comfortable working in both solitary and collaborative settings, as this demonstrates adaptability and a willingness to learn from others.
Speaking of learning, I'm curious about how RoleCatcher can help prepare for questions about specific tools and techniques. It has a huge database of interview questions, right?
It does, and you can search for questions related to specific skills, like using a gouge for carving or a bending iron for shaping the ribs of the violin. You can even practice your answers and get feedback from the AI on how clearly and accurately you're conveying your knowledge.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal violin making tutor in your pocket.
Exactly, and it can help you feel confident and prepared to answer even the most technical questions.
Okay, let's move on to question 11. Tell me about a time you failed to achieve a desired outcome in your work. What did you learn from that experience? This one feels a bit vulnerable.
It is, but remember, failures are a part of any creative process. The interviewing isn't looking for perfection, but rather for someone who can learn from their mistakes and grow as a craftsperson.
So I should choose an example where I encountered a significant challenge. Maybe I couldn't quite achieve the tonal quality I was aiming for, or a repair didn't go as planned.
Yes, but focus on what you learned from the experience. Did you discover a new technique? Did you realize the importance of meticulous planning? Did you seek guidance from a more experienced maker?
Right, it's about demonstrating resilience, a willingness to learn, and a commitment to continuous improvement.
And this question ties into RoleCatcher's focus on personalized feedback. The AI can help you analyze your answers and identify areas where you can strengthen your storytelling and highlight your growth mindset.
That's really helpful. Okay, on to question 12. How do you stay motivated and inspired in your work? This one seems more personal.
It is. The interviewer wants to see your passion, your dedication, and what drives you to create this is your chance to share what you love about violin making.
I could talk about the satisfaction of transforming raw materials into a beautiful and resonant instrument, the joy of collaborating with musicians, the endless possibilities for creativity and innovation.
Those are all wonderful examples. You could also mention your fascination with the history and tradition of violin making, the inspiration you draw from master makers, or even your personal connection to music.
It's like the pros and cons section of the career guide mentions one of the biggest rewards of this career is the artistic fulfillment and the opportunity to make a lasting contribution to the world of music.
That's a great point. And, RoleCatcher recognizes that finding a career that aligns with your passions is essential for long-term success and happiness.
Okay, one more question for this part of our deep dive. What are your salary expectations for this role? This one always feels tricky.
It is a sensitive topic, but it's important to be prepared to discuss your expectations in a professional and informed manner. The career guide provides information on typical salary ranges for violin makers, so make sure you've done your research.
Right. I wouldn't want to undervalue my skills or seem unrealistic. Should I give a specific number or a range?
A range is usually best, and you can frame it in terms of your experience and the specific responsibilities of the role.
And if the interviewer's offer is below my expectations, should I negotiate?
It's certainly an option, but do so respectfully and be prepared to justify your request based on your skills and experience. You could also consider negotiating other aspects of the compensation package, like vacation time or professional development opportunities.
That's helpful advice. And, RoleCatcher actually has resources on salary negotiation and crafting counteroffers. It even has an AI tool that can help you analyze job offers and assess their overall value.
That's a valuable resource. It can empower you to make informed decisions about your career.
Wow, we've covered so much ground in this second part of our deep dive. I'm feeling more and more prepared for this interview with every question we tackle.
Me too. And remember, these sample questions are just the starting point. The key is to use them as a framework for showcasing your knowledge, skills, and passion for violin making.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher is there to support you every step of the way with its vast resources and AI-powered tools. It's like having a personal career coach and a tech-savvy assistant all rolled into one.
Exactly. Now take a moment to reflect on what you've learned and prepare to dive even deeper in the final part of our exploration.
Welcome back, listener. We've been on quite a journey exploring the ins and outs of the violin maker interview. We've tackled tough questions, uncovered hidden decks in the craft, and even discovered how AI can lend a helping hand.
It's been fascinating to see how the conversation has evolved, moving beyond simply acing the interview to truly understanding what it means to be a successful and fulfilled violin maker.
Exactly. We've talked about the blend of artistry and science, the importance of tradition and innovation, the ethical considerations, and even the ideal workspace. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to touch on something we haven't explicitly discussed yet: career paths and progression.
That's a great point. The career guide touches on this, highlighting the various stages of a violin maker's career, from apprenticeships to master craftsperson. It's not a linear path, and there are many different directions you can take.
So it's not just about landing a job, it's about thinking long term. What are some of the options someone might consider as they gain experience?
Well, you could specialize in a particular type of violin, Baroque, modern electric, each with its unique construction and tonal qualities. Or you could focus on restoration, bringing old instruments back to life, which requires a deep understanding of historical techniques.
There's also bow making, which is a whole other art form in itself. Imagine being able to craft both the instrument and the tool that brings out its voice.
Absolutely. And as you gain expertise, you might consider teaching or mentoring, passing on your knowledge to the next generation of violin makers, or you could even open your own workshop, building a reputation for your unique style and craftsmanship.
It's inspiring to see how many possibilities there are within this one craft. It's not just a job, it's a lifelong pursuit.
And speaking of lifelong pursuits, let's circle back to RoleCatcher one last time. It's not just about getting you through the interview, it's about helping you build a successful and fulfilling career.
Right. It has resources on everything from salary negotiation to networking to staying up to date on industry trends.
And the AI tools can be incredibly valuable throughout your career. You can use them to refine your resume, craft compelling cover letters, even practice for presentations or client meetings.
So whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned violin maker, RoleCatcher can be a valuable resource to help you achieve your goals. It's like having a personalized career coach in your pocket.
And with that, listener, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the violin maker interview. We've covered a lot of ground, from the technical to the philosophical, from the practical to the inspirational.
I hope you feel not only prepared for your interview, but also excited about the possibilities that lie ahead in the world of violin making. It's a craft that blends artistry, science, tradition, and innovation in a truly unique way.
And remember, the journey doesn't end with the interview. It's just the beginning of a lifelong exploration of sound craftsmanship and the power of music.
So go out there, listener, and create something beautiful. And if you need a little help along the way, don't forget about RoleCatcher. It's there to support you every step of the way. Happy crafting.